hello to all our Facebook friends. My name is Ingrid Jean-Baptiste. I'm the founder and director of the Chelsea Film Festival. Welcome to CFF Talks TV series. It's a program we created during the pandemic to bring people together, and today it's our 14th episode. You will be able to ask your questions during the second part of the program by posting them in the comment section on Facebook or here in the Zoom room. I'm very excited to welcome our wonderful panel, the cast and crew members of Netflix series Selena. They're all joining us from Los Angeles. And we have Moisés Zamora, the creator, executive producer, and co-showrunner, who is joining us today.
Thank you.
Luisa Gomez de Silva, the producer, Jesse Posey, who plays Chris Perez, Noemi Gonzalez, who plays Suzette, the Selena's sister, and Seidy Lopez, who plays Marcela Quintanilla, Selena's mother. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to welcome my friend and co-host for today's program. Her name is Kiki Lemden Stout. She is a writer, director, producer, and the founder and CEO of Mudcat Films. She's a lifetime member of the Actors Studio and a former jury member of the Chelsea Film Festival, and also currently sits on our advisory board. So thank you all so much for joining us today on this Friday, and welcome all. Welcome, Kiki. I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today, and congratulations on season 1. I've been watching it the last few weeks, and it's just been such a wonderful ride. I grew up in Texas, so I grew up with Selena and the legacy of her. And I have family in San Antonio, and just still driving by her boutique, there's still always flowers and candles there. It's just such a, there's so many fans that have loved her. And I think what's wonderful about this show is that we're introducing it, or you're introducing it, to a whole new generation. So with that, I want to jump in and start with Moisés, the show creator. What drew you to tell Selena's story?
I mean, I think it wasn't a choice. It really was the opportunity presented itself, where I had met the producers, Jaime Davila and Rico Martinez, who had an agreement with the family. And I was at the time pitching a coming of age story about a Mexican genius girl, 13-year-old Mexican genius girl, known as the world's youngest psychologist, and they sort of really liked that angle for that. And my former agency set me up with them, and they told me that they were thinking of doing a limited series on Selena, and like about a 6-episode, so a series. And I had like a 1 week to prepare for that general meeting, and I actually prepared 20 episodes. I didn't have the opportunity in an hour to pitch your vision, but the meeting did last 2.5 hours. And it was just like a synergy, and they really liked the inspirational, wholesome angle, because this is an American dream, right? Through the, the eyes of a Mexican-American family and this incredible, superstar woman, Selena. And so I really wanted to make sure that we could tell this story in the best sort of light. And they really responded to that, and the family responded to that. We pitched to them in Corpus Christi, and it was a phenomenal experience. So I'm very lucky that, and proud and grateful that I'm surrounded by now these incredible actors that made it happen to the screen. And it's just been such a hard work, love has been put in, sweat, blood, and tears. And so everyone should be very proud, and it just couldn't be happier.
I know what struck me about the story was, there's always this question: are stars born, born out of the head of Zeus, so to speak, or are they made? And in the case of Selena, yes, she had this talent that was innate, but what you really see is how the family unit, they not helped create her, but it was their collective dream, how they rose together. And I really thought what was really beautiful about the story was the parents, in the sense that this ethos of especially the father who wanted to hold himself to this higher ideal, and he felt that maybe he fell short of that, and he didn't want his children to maybe have the same fate. And I so enjoyed the family aspect of it, and I thought that it brought such a, like you said, a hopeful, but also realistic. I think it was really, important to say that, these things don't happen overnight, that overnight success is really a fallacy. And so what I want to ask you is, the Quintanilla family is notoriously protective of Selena's legacy. So how much access did you have to shape this family story? That at least that's what season 1 has focused on.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the Selena, it's through her state and through the family, it's a legacy that is very protected, and there's a reason for that, right? Because she's so well loved, and they want to make sure that everything that's out there really represents who they were and who they are now. So, so we were lucky that we're going to have access to everything. Essentially, the music. We went to Corpus Christi for a week. We interviewed the family members for hours and hours and hours. We actually had too much story. We had to strip away things. And we took pictures of every little thing we found in the museum. There were other things that we saw that the public hasn't seen. I actually took pictures of Selena's journal when she was writing her lyrics. There was a whole page where essentially she was practicing her signature, which is such a teenage thing to do. So like those little sort of, nuggets of gold, they were wonderful. And also just like, they were really concerned about not getting too creative with their story, because they wanted to tell what was authentic and the story. So they definitely we worked closely together in the writing room, and they saw every script and every storyline, and it was important for them to tell how it really kind of happened, and that was wonderful. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was very emotional, because we're talking to a father, a sister, a brother and a mother who lost someone so incredible, and even the good sort of scenes when they're winning their first Tejano Music Award, it was very emotional. When we had our first reading with Suzette, with the writer's room, I mean, it was we had to take a moment, because it was bringing her back. And for us, it's also very emotional, because we grew up with Selena. So we looked up to her and the Quintanillas as role models. And so everyone was kind of in tears. And so it was a very emotional process. And we made it, but it was difficult, because we want to do justice to it, and there was so much to say. We needed a few more seasons, but that's all we get.
Yeah, and one thing I loved too was the nuance of the story. I'm from Texas, and the Mexican Americans in Texas, there are different aspects and culture to it. We're used to seeing LA and New York, Nuyorican, the Chicanos. So I really loved seeing all the details that went into the production in terms of the family. Like you said, Selena writing practicing her autograph and her diaries, but also just the world that was built, like Texas and Corpus Christi and that South Texas region. It really became a character in the story. So I wanted to say to Luisa, who is one of the producers today, she joins us, and she's worked on major films, Titanic, the list goes on. How did you come aboard this project?
It was, hi everybody, thank you for having me. It was quite the experience, pretty much because we were trying to put on screen all the creative effort that Moisés was talking about. It was a very important story. Actually, when Selena passed away, I was working as a journalist at the time. I was a reporter, and that's how I first got to know about her. So then I joined the project. They were already started pre-production. I was finishing another show, and I met the guys from Campanario, and I met Moisés. They wanted to do everything in Mexico. We have the facilities in Baja Studios. They wanted to be close to the border. So I'm proud to say that 99.5% of the crew that made the show is Mexican. It's local to Baja and from Mexico City. So I think everybody did a great job, and I'm sure we did not disappoint the Selena fans with what we were able to accomplish. We were trying to do, like you said, we built Corpus Christi at the studio back lot. We shot in all the cities from the state. We went to the Wine Valley, we went to Ensenada, we had the coast, we had the city, we had Tecate, which is a small town. So pretty much we were all over the place on first season. So I think we should be very proud also what we accomplished.
Absolutely. And going back to the family, and now I'm going to talk to the cast a bit. You are all playing people who are still living and are part of this big legacy of Selena and what they built together, really. When you look at the humble beginnings, I mean, we're a family of underdogs, you know, and everyone loves an underdog, at least I do. So watching them climb together, or rise together, was such a treat for me. And so I want to ask you, and we'll start with the family and then we'll kick it off to Jesse. How did you go about preparing your role? Seidy?
Oh, okay.
We'll start with the matriarch.
Thank you. I think with me, I didn't have as much access to videos or interviews and things like that because Marcela is a lot more private. So I kind of had to work more from the inside out, kind of. I did find one interview that was extremely helpful for me, and that was a Mother's Day interview she did with Selena, where they asked Selena first what her mother means to her. And then after that, they asked Marcela, what does it mean to be a mom? And just her reaction and her response to that question and all the emotion and connection that she had to that moment was all I needed. Because to me, that's her core. That was it. All, you know, with that moment, she showed me everything, you know, just I was able to study just her centeredness, her energy, just, you know, that introverted type of strength that I felt that we needed for her. And what was also extremely helpful for me is that she reminds me a lot of my own mother. And she had a lot of similar reactions throughout the material that I had experience with my mom. I was born in 71. So for me, I kind of lived those times as a young person. So going through it, it was really a gift because it almost felt like I was reliving my childhood through my mother's perspective, looking in, and it was amazing. So I think that gave me a lot of freedom. It gave me a lot of just kind of comfort level when it came to working with the kids and with the family, whether it was my teenagers, whether it were my grown kids or my little ones. And the most important thing, I didn't feel like I was worried or had to think too much about mimicking Marcela or trying to just be this caricature of Marcela. You know what I mean? It was more like, if I work from the inside out, hopefully all of those details are just going to show within the environment, within her just being the mom. And so that's how I worked with the character. And it was, I loved the experience. So hopefully people can, you know, like it and see it and embrace it and connect to it. Yeah.
No, that's absolutely, when I was watching it, I always thought, you know, it was so beautiful that she was always a mom, that no matter what the fame or the prospects of fame, it never turned her away from being a mom. She just doubled down on being a mom. And I thought the way that it was written, of course, and the way you brought it to life was just, really beautiful and nuanced. And so your preparation, I saw that for sure. And it was just, and just going to the family, and we're talking about, now we'll go to the sister, best friend, drummer, you're the grounding force for Selena. And yet, you have your own journey too. I just love the episode where you overcome that fear to make that transition as a drummer, to have that breakthrough. And so can you, Suzette, who you're playing, Noemi, how did that affect the fact that she's a producer and she on the show? How did that affect your performance, and how did you prepare?
Well, one, thank you for having me. So it's just a delight to talk about the show in this detail. So number one, I had I would say the pressure that came with this question, this awareness that everyone kept reminding me, she's the EP, she's on it, she's the EP, she's on it, you're playing a boss. That kind of track I had to accept because it was my reality. And instead of shrinking or feeling succumb to the pressure, I took it out on the drums. I took it out on my material, and I made sure that I transcended that energy into good and not let any of that affect my work for the worse. At least I hope. I feel like I'm proud of what I was able to contribute, because I've been a fan of Selena and Suzette, the Quintanilla, since I was a little girl. I grieved with them with a loss that I experienced myself. So I had that kind of internal prep of knowing my personal history, knowing the new script of an interpretation of these real life people, because it is still what this script is offering us for these real life individuals that I look up to so much. And then I had the physical transformation of my haircut, of learning how to play the drums, making sure that I live up to this legacy that I'm so proud of, I love, I grew up with. So it was definitely a new aspect to playing a character that I never had, one playing a real life counterpart, but then on top of that they were an EP, that I definitely made sure that I had that pressure checked, or that pressure used for good, instead of letting any of that get to me for the worst.
Yeah, like I said, we're always rooting for Suzette. At least I am. I love watching her growth, and really this, balancing. What I love about the family too is when the father comes and says, "Okay, it's no longer going to be Selena and Los Dinos, it's going to be Selena," and there's a pause, and you think, "Oh, there's going to be a blow up here." And the family just rises up, and they kind of laugh it off and accept it. And you just think, wow, they're just, the spirit of this family really comes through. So I want to ask you, and then I'm going to go to Jesse, how did you build the chemistry? How did you create, the family quality that we see so clearly?
Well, number one, I want to say that, there's something very Latino to survival with comedy. And that's definitely this family. And I'm really proud that this family, through this script, showed that strength internationally. So that makes me very, very proud that I presented that in one of these characters. And so the way that we set up that chemistry, we had a wonderful dinner in Mexico, and we had our conversations. At the time, Christian was still filming The Walking Dead. So we had the four there, and I thought that was very poetic to start that way as well. And so we had our wonderful moments where we just talked as professionals, as actors, as creatives, as mothers, fathers, sisters, best friends. And so it was wonderful to get that chemistry first. And then as soon as we had our first family dinner scene, it was like magic. It was like there was a dance. We saw each other as a team, and it was just one of the most beautiful experiences professionally that I'll carry with me forever when it comes to showing a day in the life and being there for each other as actors and as family members on screen. Love you, Quintanillas.
All right, Jesse.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hey, hi.
So, Jesse, you play Chris Perez, lead guitarist.
Yeah.
We see you, or we get to meet you as a band member, and then slowly we see this journey from band member to falling in love with Selena.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about how you prepared for your role.
So I was, I guess I was lucky in a way to have not been a big Selena fan growing up. I knew a little bit about her. I grew up in a Mexican family on my mom's side. So we were always exposed to the Mexican culture, food, music, just the way of life, but not Selena. So I didn't know much. And so I booked this job. I kind of like engulfed myself in who Selena was and her whole legacy. But I think what's really dope is that it gave me the chance to not so much focus on the Selena legacy or the icon that she was, but for me to just allow my character to fall in love with Selena herself, because that's what he loved. Chris Perez loved Selena. He didn't care about the legacy, the icon. He loved two things: this girl and her music. So I was able to just kind of like put all of like this stardom and who she was on the back burner, and just fall in love with the person and find out what their love was about, why he loved her. And I think I kind of only had to focus on two things: just his love for music and his love for this girl. And it was cool. It was fun. Like in the beginning, I didn't know Christian very well. I mean, I didn't know the whole cast very well. I had to kind of slowly learn to grow with everybody, and they had to learn to know who I was. And so it kind of over the course of filming, Christian and I got to know each other better, and in the show, our characters got to know each other better. So it kind of flowed with this cool timeline. And yeah, all I really had to do was just learn guitar and kind of watch all these any YouTube video I could find on Chris. And there was this one kind of like what Seidy was saying. There's this one video that I would always come back to, and it was of Chris speaking very, very soon after Selena's death. And when you watch videos of them, during their heyday of Selena y los Dinos, and when Selena was alive, it's kind of hard to capture all of his feelings and emotions towards her, because there's a lot going on. He's in a band, they're moving around, they're on tour. You see all the excitement, but you don't really see his love for her, or you don't really get to see like in how much in depth his love was. But there's this one video that I found where he's kind of just sitting talking about her post soon after her death, and it's amazing because it really shows you how much he loved her. And he even talks about how blown away he was at all the love and support that the fans poured out for her after her death. It was almost surreal for him to see how much people really cared about her, and it kind of put in perspective how much he cared about her. And so I kind of carried that with me throughout the whole thing. And Christian was really easy to work with. We both bounced ideas off each other all the time, and acted well together from the jump. So it was easy just to kind of like allow my emotions and feelings fall into the role. And I don't know, it all I didn't have to, there wasn't too much pressure on me. I kind of just did my thing, watched a few YouTube videos. I read his book. Chris Perez wrote a book kind of in honor of Selena, which was very insightful. And so I kind of just used all of those, and I think it turned out okay.
And you talked about, working with Christian. She plays Selena. How did you, I was watching the show, the scene when they meet, that kind of kinetic energy, that almost love at first sight. How did you prepare for that scene with Christian? How did you, work on your chemistry or building that, preparing for that scene?
Yeah, we didn't do much. I had met her once before. I went to Mexico to do a hair and makeup test while they were filming in Tecate. And I met everybody, and they were all so sweet to me, so welcoming. And then I didn't see anybody for about a month and a half because of just Christmas hiatus. And then we came back, and I think the first scene I shot was that scene where we first meet at the door. And Christian and I spoke a little bit. We kind of talked about our own personal lives, just caught up. And then we jumped into the scene, and I don't know, we've just both always had pretty good chemistry, which I think we're lucky. We're lucky to have that, because I think sometimes you hear of sets where the two love interests have zero chemistry, or they don't like each other at all. But we were lucky enough to be good friends and work well together as actors. But I don't know. I think we both kind of just had this this feeling of letting everything flow naturally. We didn't really ever talk too much about developing our characters. We always talked about the scenes, how we can make them better, what we can do to just show whatever emotion that we had to show in the scene. But with our developing characters and like who we were, we kind of just let it flow naturally, and we didn't really force anything. So yeah, before that scene, we didn't really talk too much. We just kind of caught up and then went at it.
So we know season 2 is going to be coming down the pike here soon. May 14th, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So I assume that we will, we'll see more and more of Chris and Selena together.
Yeah. We will. Yeah, that's cool. And I'm stoked for season 2, because I feel like a lot of the fans, I mean, there's plenty of fans out there that know the story from day one to the last day. But I think the majority of people are more familiar with after Selena got her stardom and the relationship with Chris and Selena. So I think a lot of people just saw kind of the introduction to like who Selena is becoming, but which a lot of people might be unfamiliar with. But this second season, I think, is going to be the one that everyone knows. And so I'm really excited for everybody to see that with the Chris and Selena relationship, just the band performances, the how the family turns out and everything. So yeah, I'm really stoked for this one. And this second season was shot during quarantine, and it was this thing, I don't know what it was, but it kind of made all of us, the actors, everyone working on the show, we just all kind of came together and really worked hard, put a lot of energy in, knew what was at stake. And I think there's just a lot more connection, a lot more love, a lot more just everything put into it. And so I'm really excited to see everyone at their full potential in this season.
Yeah, and speaking of, this global pandemic, we have we have a lot of young fans out there watching, and it's been such a strange time. A lot of alone time, a lot of home time for a lot of people. Everyone, of course, watching Netflix. Thank goodness for Netflix through this time period. But what I wanted to ask each of you is, what have you learned about yourselves during this time period? And has that clarified what you want to work on as an artist going forward, what you learned about yourself during this period? And I'll start with Moisés, show creator. Why don't you kick it off?
Well, I think that it just made me very grateful with the opportunity to do what I love doing. And it made me realize that life is fragile, that we got to take care of each other, that you really have to hold on to those dear loved ones, because this is a time when it's, I've actually already had family members pass away from COVID. So it has been difficult to sort of deal with it in such an abstract way. But it also, it really, I put it all into the art. I put it all into the writing, into the future projects that I'm excited about. And so in a way it's just transformative, but very full of gratitude that I get to do this storytelling. I get to do my purpose, carry out my purpose and my calling, which is writing and telling stories that represent me and my family. And that's really important. If that's all I'm allowed to do, I'm happy to keep on doing that.
And Seidy, what about you?
I think for me, I've always lived my life just kind of appreciating where I am. I've been lucky that way, where I think that that's always been like my driving force, just being present and appreciative of who's around me, who I have in my life. And so as far as that with family and everything, it was amazing, wonderful being able to spend even more time with, my kids being at home and homeschooled. I know it's difficult, very difficult for some people. But for me personally and selfishly, it was kind of nice to have my kids at home more. But I think it also made me realize, and I felt this before, but even more so now, just the importance of mental health and the importance of self-love and self-care. Because for those that don't have access to that or have never been exposed to kind of the tools that one can use just to find centeredness, calmness, when times are just chaotic and different, it's a very fragile time. So I think that it's kind of our responsibility as artists and creators, especially, to kind of have more material out there that kind of nurtures those areas, and they kind of utilize what we have to kind of, especially the youth, to help these kids and to kind of teach them how to switch their perspective and view life in a way where they don't always feel that they have to depend on an environment or on people to find their own centeredness, to find their own peace, to find their own inner strength. I mean, and we see that with social media, for example, everything is so exposed, everything is so influential on what other people think of you and everything. So it's kind of, I think, the importance of bringing things to your core and bringing things back and teaching these young people how to feel empowered no matter where they are. If you even if you're in your house, in your room, on Zoom in school or not at school, just to how to work inward and learn how to utilize your space and your creativity to grow and to experience. So that was, I think, where my focus, and it's probably because I have teenagers right now, so that was huge for me.
Yeah. Noemi, what did you learn about yourself, and how did this time clarify things for you as an artist moving forward, what you want to work on, what you want to focus on?
It gave me the time to ask myself these questions. It gave me the opportunity to take a step back and not just experience it, but to really truly process and have those questions and have that time and have that space, so that question can be coming up later when I least expect it. And then I realized, oh, I learned this about myself. Oh, I learned that about myself. I mean, watching a lot of TV and film right now is also giving me the opportunity to see what's missing and what I do want to do. So I'm thankful for that as well. I also got to catch up on iconic TV shows. I got to watch Game of Thrones right away and get, because I had been missing on that train, and I got to feel you know, what it's like as a collective to watch these shows with everybody. And obviously to have this show be released during the time too, I really got to see what it's like to feel like a sense of community like we've never felt before, as much as we might be alone in a lot of ways. I found out who I am when I'm alone, as Seidy was saying, and through her help as well, I was able to really take that opportunity to stretch and learn and grow in that place, both filming in Mexico and in the pandemic shutdown that we experienced. And then also got to, sorry, I was going somewhere with that, but essentially sense of community. I totally am with Seidy in regards to kind of a balance in what's going on out there, but then also there's this reality check of when to check in with your community, when to call people, when you need to call people, when you realize that girlfriend is quiet, or this person could really use a casserole right now, or just, you know what, I'm just gonna go. My girlfriend's an open heart surgery nurse, and she can't operate on people because there's beds taken up. And so when I went over, I really felt this sense of them being my service men and women, because her fiance is a technician in Long Beach Hospital, and I made sure that I gave to them any reprieve, any respite, any breathing room. If they didn't want to talk about work, I didn't bring it up. If they didn't want to talk about, you know, homeschooling their kids or their pets, or I didn't bring it up. You know, it's a balance of, you know, taking care of myself, but also being aware that we're all living through this together and how to make it better for everyone. So that was a really big blessing in what I want to do in the future with my work.
Which I want to add, and because of what you just said, Noemi, I did mention like the pressures of social media, but there's also like that good side of it. Like she said, the fact that we can have this interview right now, the fact that they do have Zoom and that they could communicate and talk to each other and to their friends and things like that. I do agree. It is important to still connect and to find that balance. Yeah.
And Jesse,
Mom.
Yeah, exactly, Mom, the matriarch,
Yeah,
the emotional soul center of the Quintanilla family. And Jesse, what did you do like during the times where I know California's gone back and forth between a lockdown, semi-lockdown? What did you do? How did you cope? Did you take up a new hobby? What did you do? How did you get through this time?
I watched a lot of South Park. I realized how genius of a TV show that is.
genius.
Yeah. What did I do? I got super close with some of my like oldest friends. I found a new like kind of love that I didn't know existed between like me and all my like just homies, you know. We all came really close. We came together really tight. We just found a lot of love with each other. Found like new love with my family. And I found like great love and companionship with my Selena cast. You know, we were all so grateful to come back and work. And I don't think we took any day for granted or any time being with each other. We really kind of lived it up and did our thing. But yeah, you know, you go through a lot of ups and downs during the pandemic. You're bummed about being alone. You're happy about being alone. You're bummed about not spending enough time with certain people, or you are happy about not spending enough time with people. But yeah, social media has kind of kept me close to some people. It's kept some relationships alive. I don't know. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday kind of struggle. It's hard to not be able to go out and like take a walk and just sit down at a restaurant or a bar, which has changed in the past week. Everything's kind of open outdoors. We can do that, so that's kind of uplifting. But you know, the one thing I've come to realize lately is how impactful it is on everybody. You know, I kind of, some nights I sit here alone, you know, not doing anything, just kind of in my head, thinking that I'm the only one going through this, but it's not true. Like everybody's going through it. You can reach out to anybody and they will be able to guide you through it because they're going through the same thing. So yeah, we're all going through this. It's tough. But it's also an opportunity for us to all grow and kind of learn from, learn about who we are, learn about our habits, learn about good habits, bad habits, what we love, who we love, what keeps us motivated. So this is a cool opportunity for anybody to use to kind of grow, or it's a cool opportunity to just kick it and not do anything, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel comfortable. There's no pressure to go out and become like, to become a professional at something, because everyone's saying that you should be using this time to do whatever. I think whatever you want to do, whatever makes you comfortable. If you just want to sit on the couch for 12 months and watch TV and eat popcorn, that's okay too. But this is a pretty intense time for everybody, and I'm starting to really realize that it's impacting every single person, and in kind of the same way that's impacting me. So I'm glad we're all together on it.
Yes. And the interesting thing about Selena, this is the thing that came up over and over in the series, was her desire to be herself, her desire to be both, an American girl who's also Mexican, the Mexican American identity, the idea that, well, my husband is Mexican American, he speaks Spanish, but his brother doesn't. And so, there's so many facets to what that is, that it's not one single thing. And in the terms of, I guess what I mean, one single thing for her was, it was really important for her to be herself. And because of that, she was a trailblazer. I mean, I look at facets of her, starting a clothing line in a boutique way before any other musician or actress was doing it, before Beyonce had her clothing line and Jessica Simpson and all of these people. And so what I want to get back, and I want to thread this question, is Selena's being introduced to this new generation, and we have a lot of future storytellers here that are joining us today. And all of you are storytellers, whether it's behind the camera, in front of the camera, or both. So what I want to ask you, and aside from success, because obviously you're successful, the show is a great success. Was there a moment, an incident, a mentor, or a teacher where you just knew that something inside you said that I want to pursue being an artist or a storyteller? So, Luisa, let's kick it off with you.
Definitely. I guess when you have a lot of ideas, you're growing up, you have a lot of hopes, you want to be someone, you want to learn, and I've been lucky enough to be in this journey with many people. I guess like the first quality I would say to everybody, it's being humble. The way that you're always trying to help everybody out, try to learn, that has helped me a lot. Just trying to be to collaborate, to participate. All the time I was in college, I was working. If there was something, like, I always raise my hand. And I think in this business particularly, it's all about the relations. So pretty much that, and through the years, I have been lucky again to work with the best in all areas, behind the scenes, like you said, in front of the camera as well. I guess just that forms your character. Just be willing to learn and to appreciate what life is offering you. I think that is what has helped me keep moving and working.
And Moisés, for you, was there a moment, an incident? Was it a chain? Was it a teacher? How did you know?
I have to unmute myself. Yes, for me it was, I was born in Mexico. I'm a Mexican immigrant. I got to the United States when I was 11 years old. So for me, it was very traumatic in the sense that I was leaving my great aunts behind, my dog. I could still see their faces as we were pulling away from our home. So for me, that was try to find a way to create a space where I could be safe and I think writing came into me naturally. In high school, I had two incredible English teachers. I was actually better at math and science because it took me a minute to learn English, but it was just the passion, the storytelling, the way that they were magnificent in the classroom. Really, I just got so enamored with the whole idea of literature and have used using that as a form of expression. I didn't really take it seriously as a profession until college. I took a lot of playwriting courses, a lot of creative writing courses. I would journal, and I would switch from English to Spanish with my emotions. And it was towards the end of senior year. And I do remember it was like a weekend with my friends. And it just sort of kind of came to me and dawned me that my purpose, my calling was to become a writer. And so I just blurted it out. It's just like, I'm gonna be a writer. And then we're like, okay, cool, dude. Like, can we go get some food, you know? And from then on, I've always focused on making that happen, that dream happen. I, you know, wrote a novel in Spanish, got a literary award from it, and then switched into screenwriting. And that has been sort of my path. And I always find opportunities to make sure that that story, that dream is still alive. And now that it's like we're here, it's almost like, what do? You pass it on to other people. You know, I volunteer with a lot of high schools and, you know, primary school, especially at-risk kids who don't have those role models. And for Latino families, this Quintanilla family is kind of a, you know, a rare thing, because sometimes a lot of Latino families, they don't know what to do with a creative kid. They're like, you know, go be a lawyer, be a doctor. We don't have the tools sometimes to, you know, put that kid in their path. And so I think that's really, really important to just show, you know, the next generation that no matter where you come from, where you're from, who you are, that you can still have that opportunity to be a creator, to be an artist.
Well, I again, congratulations on season 1. It is such a wonderful ride. I'm so excited for season 2. Thank you for joining me today. It's been so lovely speaking with all of you. And I want to say one thing to the fans. I've been practicing my Espanol. So I want to say, gracias a todos los fans. Tu entusiasmo y espíritu para mí hace estas entrevistas más especiales.
Oh, qué linda.
Órale.
So with that, I know that they are so excited to talk to you, to ask you questions about the show and your experience and the impact of Selena on your lives. So Ingrid, should we?
Yes. So we have a lot of questions, and one is, I'm going to start with this one from Narali Calderon. She's asking, she said, how do you feel having so many Latino fans and that some of us don't understand anything what you're saying, but we are here?
Les adoro.
Yes, I feel very grateful. Very grateful. Yes, I appreciate all of you. Los quiero mucho a todos.
Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Los queremos mucho, aunque no nos entiendan en inglés. Todo lo mejor. Sigan viendo Selena. Mucho amor, como dice Walter Mercado.
I don't know what
Jesse,
you guys are saying.
Lots of love, Jesse. Thank you for being here.
I got it. See, I kind of, with the context and with your body language, I understood what you're saying.
Do you feel like you're back on set?
I do, yeah. If nobody knows, I was the only one on set who couldn't speak Spanish, so it was a bit of a struggle, but everyone was so cool and so welcoming, and I think I mostly learned just bad words and stuff.
It's true.
It'd be fun. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm so stoked that we have all these, you know, Latino and Latina fans. I know that they're really passionate about Selena and about, you know, when they're excited about something. So it's genuine, you know, it's very genuine, and that they love and appreciate all the work that we're doing. And man, nothing feels better than to know that everyone that's worked on the show is getting the recognition they deserve.
What was Amy's asking, what scene, actually Fernanda Hernandez, what scene was the most difficult to shoot?
For me?
Yeah, you go.
Jesse, you can start.
For me, there were scenes where Selena and Chris were having like disagreements, fighting, and those were always hard. Those are always hard with anybody. I mean, it was hard because Christian and I are such good friends, and we enjoy doing scenes that are fun and where we're treating each other nicely. But then we found ourselves doing scenes where like we're both treating each other in a way that I don't think either of us would treat our people in our own personal lives. And so you kind of have to put yourself in this place, and you have to Christian's very good, and she can make herself cry on cue. And so me saying awful things to her, not awful, but just me saying things that I wouldn't normally say in my normal life, that makes her cry, always tore me apart. You know, it was always hard. And you know, you do a take, and then you do another take, and another take, and another take, and so you're kind of having to stay in this emotion for a long time, and it is pretty hard. So those were always hard, but they were cool because it was challenging, and it was a cool thing to do. Otherwise, I didn't have very many hard, difficult scenes to do. Everything was a lot of fun, cool. It was just having those fight scenes that were kind of messy. Yeah.
To piggyback on Jesse's, there wasn't any scene in particular that was difficult, but I think the responsibility of being the drummer for Selena y los Dinos was probably the bigger challenge overall, in the sense that I had to learn how to be an actor and a drummer on a set. So how did I manage my prep time? How did I manage my energy? Because we would sometimes play like Bidi Bidi Bom Bom in the morning, and then, oh, my poor cat, he just dropped a curtain. You're okay, Fabio. Excuse me. Pues sí, en la mañana la batería, and then later in the day I had to do, you know, a scene that was emotional. So it's like, okay, how do I maintain my energy? And then I think, especially if I had to name a scene, it's probably the fact that I had started learning drumming 2.5 months prior to needing to perform the Como la Flor live song that's in the intro, and that's a song that's 6.5 minutes long. And speaking of not making that pressure any worse for me, I really leaned into it, as opposed to I don't know, not that I would, but like finding any cutting corners or ways to work with a director to, you know, not do my solo takes, or, you know, it was just a lot of energy that was wonderful to give my all. And then I experienced that with the cast and the crew and everyone in the soundstage. So we definitely connected on the reality of that endeavor. It was really beautiful to lean into those challenges.
Yeah, I can't think of like a particular scene. I do remember one day, and I don't know if you guys remember this, we had to work in Big Bertha all day. And we're talking like almost 10 hours or more of being inside the Big Bertha bus. But the funny thing about Big Bertha is that our interior bus was a different one that we would use for our exterior bus. And our interior bus, even though being in there can get, you know, kind of claustrophobic sometimes in the long day or whatever, but when we had to shoot an exterior of Big Bertha one time, it was almost impossible to walk in, and you would shoot us getting into the bus, and once you got in, it was completely empty and destroyed and just awful, but it smelled so bad.
We would go in.
We were literally, they would yell, cut, and we would run out and go, breathe. And then as soon as they yell action, we'll go, hold our breath, run inside, and then just kind of wait for the scene to happen. And then, oh my God. So that was a challenging, challenging scene, I guess, or day.
I don't remember that. What did it smell like? I must not have been.
I don't know if you were.
No,
were
you weren't there during that.
Yet. He wasn't there yet? Oh, you
No,
weren't there yet. They cleaned it by the time you got around.
What did it smell like? Was it just like
like something died in there, like
so
an animal
something
died
in there.
And I'm and I think it might have, right?
I hope not. You never know.
We're talking raccoon or something though, you know.
Yeah.
We just thought that some little fur friend got
It
stuck
was
trying
fixed.
to keep
It was
warm.
just like one, you know, one experience we
One
had.
day, one
But
time,
I
but
remember it.
but those 10 takes, yeah, we were like,
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't realize, like how many takes we do of something.
Yeah.
You know, like when we have a hard scene or we're in a tight spot, you're not just sitting there for one scene. You're sitting there for like 10 takes, 11, 12 takes, or the producer's calling and talking about what we can do to make it better, and you're just standing around. I think that's always like been one of the most difficult things that we all have to go through, is to just stay in that emotion or stay in that character, waiting. You know.
Yep.
It's part of it.
Melanie's Delvio is asking, what's the most important thing you've learned about Selena?
Embrace yourself and don't be afraid.
I think for me, just the importance of having a tight family, that they did it together. That, yeah, she was the star, but it took the whole family for this to happen.
I think she was like able to just laugh through everything, smile through everything. You know, I think that girl faced more adversity than we all know. Not just being a Latina, and not just being a woman in a male-dominated section of music and the industry, but just, you know, being a pop star and like rising up and having to deal with all this stuff and having a husband and the family and the father the way he was, and being afraid of leaving the family behind. The girl just smiled, man. The girl just smiled and cracked jokes and made everybody feel like everything was okay. And it's hard not to, like, you know, take her death as almost like a blueprint for how we should all live our lives. You know, you know, something so impactful like that happens, you're just kind of flooded with everything that she was and everything that she did, and it was just so natural and genuine, and it kind of just makes you want to be like that, makes you want to treat people like that, makes you want to treat yourself like that. And you know, I think we're all so lucky to have been able to experience that person and that just that individual and her heart. And yeah, you know, the girl went through a lot, but she smiled through everything and laughed through everything and cracked jokes and made everyone feel like everything was okay. I think that's I think that if there's one thing that anyone can pull from this show, it's that you can just make it through anything, and that you're valued, and that, you know, wherever you are, you belong to be there. Yeah.
Moisés?
Well, I mean, you kind of nailed it. But you know, the two things that really impacted me when I got to know her on the writer level and doing all the research and interviews and so forth, and one is that really what Jesse said, that like just sort of generosity of spirit. She was really nice. She was really kind, and she, you know, everyone around her time and her contemporaries are like, she was really just a really kind person with herself, with to her fans, with everyone. And I think that's a really good way to live life. But another thing that really made me just so aware of how important she really valued education. She educated herself. She got her degrees. I think if she would have done an online degree, if she had that available, but she did it through correspondence. She was obviously always trying to learn and challenge herself. And she really valued education. She'd go to schools and be like, talk to the kids and be like, education is the most important thing you'll have in life. And that to me speaks to the type of independent entrepreneurial kind of spirit she also had. It's like, okay, I may not know how to run boutiques, but I'm gonna get a degree on business. And she did, you know, in order to become a better businesswoman. And that to me speaks to like, never stop learning, challenge yourself. And, you know, I'm taking cues from her, you know, like I'm trying to be entrepreneurial myself, like, you know, building projects and empires, you know, probably not as good as and easy as she is, but I think that's something that really just spoke to me.
Yeah.
Luisa?
I will definitely say pursue your dreams and work hard towards them. You know, to me, that was one of the biggest things that I've kind of learned from all of it. That she was always working hard for what she dreamt, and that she pushed all the way to the end. You know? That to me would be what I've learned from her.
We have another question, and that will be the one before last, from Amapola Pico. She said, if you could talk to Selena today, what would you say to her? Yeah, sorry. I had to ask that question. It's so beautiful.
Whoa. Oh man, who wants to go first?
I would say, yeah, I would say, I love you, thank you, te adoro, muchísimas gracias por la fuerza, por la luz. You are forever, and thank you for being you and serving your community. Then, now, and forever. We'll love you forever. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for being you. We love you. Te queremos. Gracias.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for leaving just a footnote and like a blueprint of like how people should be. You're inspiring not just millions of young Latina girls, but girls all over, boys, men, women. You're just inspiring everybody, and you know, I'm super glad that we were able to just make this show and kind of spark this Selena legacy again, and just show everybody what she was about. Thanks for being cool. Thanks for being you, dude. That's the biggest thing. Thanks for being genuine and not being afraid to be who you are, no matter how goofy, how weird, how just, you know, whatever's going on in your head, just be you, do your thing, and enjoy your life. And that's what she did. And I thank her every day for just showing us how to do that.
Yeah, I would say thank you. And I would say, I don't think that you had any idea how many lives you would change, and how much just by being driven and living your life and being everything that you are, how you've encouraged and made all of these little boys and girls dream and accomplish and continue to want to live. And that energy and that smile and that essence is so special, and will always be so special, and will always, and it's there forever on camera, just by us creating her story and telling it, and the next generation passing it, you will forever inspire. And that's because you're just special, and you just have this this smile, this essence that's just magical. And so thank you, universe, for that.
Yeah.
Luisa?
I have to agree with Seidy. Pretty much, thank you for all the things you have, for all the souls you have touched with your work, with yourself.
We have time for two more, if that's okay with you all. There is a question from Alexandra. She's saying, if you could take something from the set, what would it be?
Moisés.
I would take all the costumes. I really want to wear that gold outfit. I'm even down to wearing the cow print. I'm sorry, I want it. I'll wear it to some premiere. I'll take the outfit.
I have some stuff.
Talk about it.
I was going to wear one of the shirts, and it was a little too loud, so I decided not to wear it. But yeah, I have some articles of clothing. The number one thing that I want that I have is my drumsticks from that drum transition moment, because when I was done after 2 days of filming that, the drumsticks looked all chopped up in a way I've never seen before. And so I was just like, whoa. give these to me later, Dani, por favor. Like, I was just like, this is incredible for my memories, for my, they're over here.
I would probably take my first wake from season 1 and my glasses.
Aww. Not a salad bowl?
No.
Inside joke. We have, with that magical moment.
We did this one scene and the salad bowl became a very important prop.
Yeah.
Oh man. I was able to take home a leather jacket that I wore on set. That was pretty cool. But I think if I had to take anything, as cheesy as it sounds, I would take my driver, Eric.
Oh,
He was my best friend. He was the sweetest dude. He and I would we would just be heart to heart all the time. I've never met a sweeter person in my life. I've never met a person so grateful just to be alive every day and just to be working and to be around good people. I think I would take all the drivers. I mean, Seidy and Noemi, they were all David and
We call David.
Dude, they're just the coolest people. They were so sweet and just it's incredible.
What these drivers did for us during quarantine.
Oh, unbelievable.
They were our survival. They would go bring us, because we weren't allowed to go out and shop for ourselves. So they would bring us our food, our breakfast, our lunch, our dinner. And they were just getting to know them. It just, they're so inspiring. And so inspiring the way they live life and so grateful they are. And so, I loved my drivers. They
were so happy. It doesn't matter if they were up at 5 a.m. working until 12 a.m. They were happy to do it. I think that's the thing that kept me going every day. I think that's the thing that
me too.
Getting in that van every morning and just seeing the smile on their faces just made me so excited to be alive and to be working
and so sweet. They would do like all of these extra things for us to make us feel okay, like to make us feel like, I don't know, just
at home. Yeah, we really felt like we were at home. So
it was a family vibe. It was a family vibe, and they stepped up a lot, because the job requirement is just driving us to and from set, but then the first time when we went shopping, Seidy, to see them taking care of us and give space, but then they were also guarding us a little bit, just to make us feel that we felt safe at wherever we were. One of the drivers told me, like, to me, I'm your driver, I'm your assistant, I'm your guard, like whatever I can do to help you, just tell me and I'll be there and I'll do it. And just to have that attitude, I was just like, you're so beautiful.
You almost don't want to put them out so much. You don't want to make them do that much work, but they're so happy to. That's what they're there for, and that's what they want to do. And if ever you need to talk or vent, dude, they have the biggest ear for it. They're anything you have to say. I want to give them a lot of credit, man. They helped us through a lot, and everyone played a part in this show, even down to the drivers. The drivers, they just kept us going every single day, kept our motivation high. So they deserve a lot of recognition for how this show turned out.
Yeah.
Luisa, would you take the drivers too?
Everybody. I've been working with most of them for over 20 years, and we grew up together. We're a big family. And I'm not sure if the cast noticed it, but I know Moisés did. All of us are a big family here. We know each other. We know everybody's family. We work long hours. We work 24/7. So it is our family away from our family. So definitely I will tell them all what you said. They will be really grateful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you all so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add or say to your fans out there, or things we haven't covered today? Please, you're welcome to share now.
Keep supporting. You guys are in for a good season for season 2. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be emotional. It's gonna be heavy. It's gonna be deep. Hope you're ready for it.
Muchísimas gracias por el apoyo. Muchísimas gracias por el amor. por la serie, por nuestra Selena, por nosotros también de actores. Muchísimas gracias por encontrarnos y por el amor de todo. Muchísimas gracias, gracias, gracias.
Igualmente,
If you want
gracias.
to
Los
sing.
apreciamos, los queremos mucho y yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for your support. We love you guys.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Work hard to get that dream. You deserve it. You can get it. Échenle muchísimas ganas. Alcancen ese sueño. Se lo merecen. A Selena, sus fans eran lo más importante. Así que estaría muy contenta saber de que tiene más fans. And thank you for showing up for her.
Sí, sí.
Jesse.
Luisa, you have the last word.
Muy duro. Trabajen muy, muy duro y nunca pierdan el piso. Work very hard. I would say.
Well, I want to thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with our very special guests. Now you have many, many more reasons to watch or rewatch season 1 over the weekend with your friends and family. The replay will be available on our YouTube channel, the replay of today's program. Please subscribe and share the video. Give us a thumbs up. Thank you again to our incredible guests, Moisés, Luisa, Jesse, Noemi, and Seidy. I wish you the best of luck in your careers. I'd like to thank my dear friend Kiki for being my co-host today. Thank you for all your insightful questions. It was so much fun to have you again. And of course, there's no show without an audience. So I have to thank you guys. You're truly amazing. Some of them, they're at school today and they always try to pop in to join us. So thank you all for your support and tuning in today. Thank you to all our Chelsea Film Festival fan pages for supporting us. And remember to follow Chelsea Film Festival on social media for more fun experiences. Stay safe, you all. Have a beautiful weekend and I'll see you all soon. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.